Hello and welcome to this week's Battle of the Ports. After playing crappy Euro platformers for 2 weeks, it's time for something good, in the way of a Japanese shooter. This is Hotb's Kotetsu Teikoku, better known as Steel Empire in the West. This first hit Japan on March 13th, 1992 for the Mega Drive, with a worldwide release a few months later. Kotetsu Teikoku was developed by Hotb under the lead designer Yoshinori Satake. Yoshinori originally began development of an arcade game in the late 80s based around themes of steampunk aviation, inspired by anime such as Laputa Castle in the Sky and Future Boy Conan. That game is what eventually became this Mega Drive release. In the game, the player is a Silverhead pilot, launched from the Titanic-sized airborne propelled aircraft carrier. You have a choice of 2 different classes of aircraft for each mission, being a plane or airship. The plane is probably the best choice as it's faster with a smaller hitbox. It does have a lower energy bar than the airship, mind you. Gameplay in Steel Empire is linear in that the player is restricted to flying in only one direction, besides stage 2, when the game scrolls left to right halfway through it. However, unlike most scrolling shooters, Steel Empire allows the player to fire from behind as well as ahead. Players are given a certain number of lives and continues, with the higher difficulty levels granting more continues but with fewer lives per continue. If the player's ship's health is completely depleted, a life is subtracted, with the play continuing normally. If all lives are lost, the player must use a continue, which will restart at either the beginning or midpoint of a stage, depending on how far the player was when they continued. Hotb were never great programmers on the Mega Drive, and it truly shows in this game, as it's plagued with slowdown, even in areas that don't seem so complicated. Still, at least the frame rate is a constant 60 frames per second, unlike following ports. The first port of Steel Empire went to the Game Boy Advance in 2004, and oh boy, what a mess this is. The very first thing I noticed as soon as the first stage started is how poor the frame rate was. This is at least half of the Mega Drive, which ran at 60 frames per second. This is probably around 25 frames per second. Then I noticed how horrible the controls felt, probably due to the poor frame rate. The game is also far more difficult as the screen gets jam-packed full of enemies to the point it becomes confusing to know where you are. The fact that I can't tell where the hitbox on my ship is also doesn't help. Then there's the audio. While some of the tunes sound okay, the overall sound quality is very scratchy. I also noticed that a lot of the enemy attack patterns have been altered, probably due to the lower screen resolution. Overall, Steel Empire on the Game Boy Advance is pretty bad, which is quite surprising as it was developed by Starfish, a company that comprises of mostly ex-Hotb staff. March 19, 2014, another port to a Nintendo console was released, this time to the Nintendo 3DS. This port was handled by Mebius and is very much based upon the Game Boy Advance version of the game, but now vastly improved. Gone is the cluttered screen, gone is the dodgy hitbox, and gone is the poor frame rate. This Nintendo 3DS version is vastly superior in every possible way. They even fixed the difficulty, as the GBA version was too hard. The new graphics do have a slight flash game vibe to them, but you soon get used to it. Plus, if you're playing on a real 3DS hardware, the 3D effect is quite nice, as the parallax scrolling gives a nice sense of depth to each stage. Finally, Steel Empire received the port to the PC. A Switch version is scheduled to be released on July 21st, 2025, but you know it's gonna be just the same as this. Talking of which, this is just like the Nintendo 3DS port, which is no surprise as it was also developed by Mebius, and it's basically just the 3DS version with all the 3D ripped out of it. The only new addition to the game is the new HUD over the screen. And let's take a look at all those versions of Kotetsu Teikoku, better known as Steel Empire, running side by side.